What's up, everybody? This is Minnie here with another one of my great games, and this one is coming from me playing one of my all-time favorite ships, the Georgia, in Silver Ranked Season 3. Quick reminder before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button on the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel as well as leave a comment down below. Anyway, let's get into it. So, in this game, just to give you an idea on what we're facing, ranked, of course, 7v7, Missouri, Georgia, FDG as the battleships on my side, along with the Donskoy as the cruiser, Lightning, Lafant, Kagero as the DDs, Minnesota, Palmer, and Musashi on their side, along with an Alaska as the cruiser, Herkaze, Ognavoy, and Oland as the DDs. Now, going into this game, I'm thinking a couple things. I like that we have a Missouri radar, but their Musashi shreds me a lot, as well as the Pomeran being good, but I think we can make the play. Alaska's 10-kilometer radar really hurts, but I think we have the better DDs. So, based off of my spawn, I'm, of course, going to head towards the A cap, because on ranked, my personal opinion is you should always be sending most of your battleships to A. You should send two ships, usually a DD and a cruiser, or preferentially, if you have enough battleships, a battleship to the double cap side to make sure that they can contest and kite. But you want to send most of your force over to A to win this fight on that side. And so first thing, I'm going to already be looking for shots. Now, I take the shot on the Alaska not only because he's in range first, but also because the Alaska's the bigger threat here. Alaska's the bigger threat because the Alaska, of course, has the 10-kilometer radar we already mentioned, but it also lasts forever. So that's going to put our Kagero into a world of hurt. Unfortunately, of course, the Alaska decides to turn in, which puts us in a problem spot. And then our Kagero decides to die. Now, as much as I'm annoyed that the Kagero died early on, that was a really great set of torps by the Oland, and with the speed of the Oland torps, it is hard to dodge. But that is an excellent reminder that you should not be facing straight, should not be sideways in a cap. You should be facing out or in. The other reason that that's an issue, just pausing this for a second, is you see the Alaska, his goal should be immediately turn out, because the Alaska gets in, he's going to radar. You want to bait out the radar and be able to get away as soon as you bait out the radar, because that way the Alaska radar has been used. So now we're at a problem where we're at a disadvantage on this side already. We have a 50,000 health disadvantage and we have a ship disadvantage. So we got to look for and we got to execute some kills to bring this game back to an even state of being. I execute the speed boost because I want to push out on this flank. The Oland doesn't have the ability to smoke up. So if I spot him, he's kind of stuck. I also know he's in the cap. I want to get out on this flank, put that Alaska in an awkward position. We also know by now the Musashi's over at sea along with at least one DD, but we're still looking for that missing DD because in ranked, you always want to keep an eye out for where are the DDs. So we know that there's a DD in A, probably the Oland, we think, but we also know that there's one of them over at sea. Unfortunately, we ricochet some shells on the Pomeran because we're not quite far enough along, but we're looking for that Alaska. We want to get that Alaska off the field. We're waiting for our guns to be ready, and then we take the shots. And we get some nice damage there. More importantly, we get the gun in cap, but it's not enough. We need to be getting around. So we're still waiting for that DD spotting. With the factor behind the island detected, what this has told me that when I'm behind the island detected is there's a DD somewhere in front of me. We're assuming it's the Oland, but that's also probably telling me, because the Ognavoy's been spotted over here, that the Herkaze is somewhere out in front of me because we haven't seen him yet. So I'm watching out for that because I know he's somewhere near. And especially once we see the Oland in the cap, I'm like, oh, well, that's a problem. So we're going to start to turn out here. We're going to continue to put the shots out at the Alaska, but we're going to turn out because we can't afford to push yet with the Herkaze. Another 10,000 off the Alaska puts us in a nice position. Sure, he's going to heal, but we're putting the damage out right now. Let our secondaries do the work. And here I'm slightly diagonally away because this way I can turn back in just for the quick shots. Look, I turn in 2 seconds before the shot, drop the shot, and then I'm going to turn it straight out again. And we're keeping an eye on where our other ships are. Another nice hit, so that Alaska's hurting. Now we are going to execute the full turnout, and we're going to use the heal rather than the repair, because we're still worried about torps, so we don't want to use that. We can use the heal to balance out the fire. If I had to do this again, what I would have done better is I would have waited on the heal, because I used it a little bit early, so I didn't quite get full value out of it. We took the shots onto the Pommern there because we didn't like our shot before that, but we get him, and now we're going to look back at that Alaska again. Meanwhile, so as we're looking at this, we're thinking, okay, so our Fant has ducked off. We still haven't seen that Herakaze, which is really annoying me. But we're hoping the Lightning gets the Ognavoy, and then the FDG is keeping the Musashi busy. But we're thinking we need to get this Alaska. He's backing up. We need to keep chunking him because he's under half health, and he's still a big threat with that radar for our ability to push in. So we want to get him off the field, especially because he's also the lowest health target. Watch these in. We missed that he was moving forward, and unfortunately those ones are going to be short, but he's not aiming at me. He's aiming at the Missouri. Or sorry, yeah, Donskoy. Now, we're not detected, so we know that the Herakaze's not within range, and we know that the Oland isn't. Also, that's a big thing there, is seeing that this Ognavoy is losing the fight. Because you look out there, I see 2,600 health versus our Lightning. I'm like, okay, that puts us in a good position. Problem is, we are still alone on this flank, and I've got two DDs that are going to try to torp me. So that's why normally I'd be pushing a little bit more aggressively than this, but I can't afford to risk it right now, as much as I'd love to. We're going to angle out so we're not giving a full broadside to the Pommern here. That's why I'm turning, because you don't want to give a full broadside. And we're going to look for the shots on this Pommern. And we're going to check those torps, make sure they're not going to hit me. Take the second shot, get 10k on the first hit, and there's going to be another 6k there, 7k. So 17,000 off the Pommern, which is finally starting to put us at good. We turn out, we dodge most of the Minnesota's damage, and we just keep wrapping it here. And getting that fire and having those long-range secondaries is really nice because he's taking damage there, which means he can't heal as effectively. So they did manage to kill the Ognavoy at this point. So I'm still worried about where are their DDs. I'm starting to suspect, as I watch this, because of the fact that we haven't seen them, I'm wondering, one, is the Herakaze AFK, because we have not seen him at all, and two, I'm wondering if one of the two DDs that's over here is possibly going to be. I'm assuming one of them's not, probably the Olin based off of the speed of those torps coming past me, but that still makes me wonder where the Herakaze is and what he's done. And then we see the Olin's over there, so we're like, okay, Fant, you need to win this fight. The Fant should win this fight. He's French, and he's got the superior health pool, and he's just in a good spot. So we want him to win that fight, but we've got to look at this beaching Minnesota. Still don't have any idea why I told I was my shots were gonna hit the islands, and I don't understand how when I shot these shells they went that far over on some of them. But we still got a nice set of damage up to 75k. We're looking, Fant is winning the fight on the Olin slowly but surely. He's down to 7,900. This Pommern's low and he needs to go. So we're going to start to angle back into the cap. Now, at this point, we're in a good position. We're tied on ships. We're still way down on health, but we have the caps. But we need to start knocking out some ships to balance this out. To be fair, part of that is we're not actually that far down because we haven't seen their Musashi, so we don't know what their Musashi's damage is. But we get the Pommern off the field, and that means I feel safe enough to push into A and challenge for it. We're going to take a look at the Olin, consider it, but we're going to speed boost to get into the cap and get moving. We're looking for this Minnesota. We want to chunk him out because he is the big threat. And we find him, and we start working him. And then we lose our FDG, which means we're still tied on ships, but we're bleeding health. There's only me and a Missouri left for battleships on our side, and our Donskoy that's way far away, and I'm not getting great hits on that Minnesota. We angle in, of course, because we want to dodge those shots, but now I know I've got 30-odd seconds until that Minnesota can fire again. Start the heal. and start pushing him, because we want to push him to get our secondaries going, because our secondaries can be a very effective weapon against that much superstructure. And I'm willing to risk this turn because, as I said, I know I had about 30 seconds until he could fire. So I can angle into the island here and do a slight turn back, and once he shoots, I can angle back in and challenge again. But you see my secondaries starting to hit and do what they should. And there's 9k, and he tanks me for 11k, which because I didn't quite turn out. But now I can't afford to start to turn it back in. And we still have Torps out here, which means because of the Oland, it has to be the Herakazi. And oh look, there's the Herakazi. So there's nothing I can do about the Herakazi right now. My guns aren't in any line for him. The best thing I can keep doing is working down the Minnesota. Especially because he's chosen no longer to shoot at me. Now, the Oland has touched the cap. We don't know the Lightning's health, but the Lightning, well, we know the Lightning's low, and that's going to be a risky fight. The Alaska's also moving that way. We have a Herakazi on our flank. We got a Minnesota there. The Fants just missed the Torps on the Minnesota, at least the first set. So our job, because we're still at half health, and our Missouri just went down, which is really hard, because now I'm the only battleship, so I'm the major source of damage, because a Donskoy is not going to do damage, and we've got a Lightning off on the other side, and we've got a Fant that's out here. Now, Lightning does get the Oland, which frees us up a little bit, but we've got to get this Minnesota off the field. So we start opening up with him. And we look away. And we get him. Now we look at the Alaska. And this is one of the times I made a mistake. I fortunately only paid for it with 10k, but I was over-angled to try to get him, and I did not pay good attention to where that Alaska was, which means that instead of having the cap, I didn't manage to get it and reset. But we're in a good position to win. We're only down by about 7k HP, and we're up a ship, and we're up the cap. So now we're in a good position, and we just need to play smart and safe. Angle in on the Alaska so he can't hit me as much, and we're going to start putting the secondaries out on him as well. This also does the bonus advantage of allowing me to keep the Alaska focused on me, not the Donskoy, and means that the Donskoy isn't losing health and can take the cap for us. So that's why I'm doing a straight stop. Normally I'd push, but we want to stay in the cap and we want to keep the Alaska focused on us, especially if he decides to turn out. Get the fire with the main, or with the secondary, which is nice, and then we take 7k. But we're at 29, so we need to be careful here. We've only got one heal left. So we're waiting for him to turn out. We're thinking he's got to turn out here. And he does, and that's going to be nice because the Donskoy is going to get that. And we get another fire. And we're going to set up here, and we're going to say, oh, here comes the turn in. So we're going to repair the fire, and then we're going to put the shells down low and hope we get Citadel. No dice on the Citadel, but a good chunk. And their Torps have missed. And this is another reason to love secondaries. I have the island kind of in my way, but because of how I'm angled, I got secondaries going on the Alaska, I got secondaries going on the Herakazi. Donskoy just dies to the Alaska, which is no bueno, but we did get the cap, so now I need to make sure I don't die, because our lightning is very low. So we put the shells out there, we hold the last gun, put it out, and then we just turn in to make sure you can't angle. Still putting out shells on the Herakazi. And we're watching the Alaska burn. We peek over that way, and we watch the double strike and the close quarters expert. That is why I love the secondaries. Burn out the Alaska, CQE the Herakazi, and puts us in a very strong spot. So now we got 58 seconds, and we're just looking towards the Musashi, seeing if we can get any more. And of course, no mercy on the man that's requesting to cap it. If you want to cap it, you got to earn the cap. But all in all, 193,000 damage already, 3 kills, high caliber, close quarters expert, double strike. We're quite happy with this one. And the icing on the cake, even though it's a ricochet, no damage, we get the defended ribbon. And we know we're going to get one more shot out. And we'll look to see if we can get any more damage. Only reason I risked firing is because there wasn't enough time for him to kill me, even if he had AP loaded. But with that, there's the win. And that's why I love my Georgia. Just such a strong ship, and when you play her well, she can really sing. 197,551 damage to end the game, and a really great time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. As a quick reminder, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to hit that follow button on the subscribe button. Make sure to like and leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on this ranked game. This is Mini, signing off.